what we call hogwash, which means a lie for anybody not from the country in Ohio. But it's what we call hogwash. So how many times have you heard that? People fear speaking more than death. About 100? Every person selling a speaking book or selling some speaking tape, or you go to see a public speaker, they always throw that out there like it's actual research. Okay? Cops talk to people all day. And remember, when you're talking to a class, you should be talking to them like you're talking to one person. Okay? You shouldn't try to be something you're not, try to memorize all kinds of weird gestures and techniques. Right? Worry about your eye contact, because then you stare at somebody and make them real uncomfortable. Okay? You just freak them out. It's like if I stared at this guy long enough, right? That just means that guy won't go to the bathroom at the same time as you. He's afraid. Okay? So, do people really fear speaking more than death? Do you fear speaking more than climbing in a 767 with Paris Hilton at the controls? Especially when she has to land? Would you rather speak or fly with her? You fear speaking more than bungee jumping without a bungee? What about disarming a bomb without a bomb suit? Because that's the problem with bombs, right? They explode. And do you fear speaking more than responding to a shots fired call without your backup, your vest, or your firearm? It's just stupid, right? That people even bought into that. People fear speaking more than death. Okay? This was a book that a guy wrote back in 1977 called The Book of Lists. That's where the term people fear speaking more than death. Okay? Let me show you what else is in this book. This guy never did any research. He handed people a piece of paper and said, write down what comes to your mind as your worst fear. Well, more people wrote down speaking than people that wrote down death. But he didn't ask them, do you fear speaking more than death? That's just how people twist it because they want to sell something. Let me show you what's in this book from 1977. Here's one. 14 preserved anatomical parts of renowned people. If you want that list, I'll give it to you later. 20 prominent victims of syphilis. 18 celebrities who have had vasectomies. That's always a good step. 10 beans in their flatulence levels. 9 visitations from outer space. And towards the back of the book is where it says the 14 worst human fears. And it has speaking before a group is number 1 over heights, insects and bugs, financial problems. Do you really think people fear financial problems over death, and bugs over death? Deep water, sickness, death, flying. So it's just what people wrote down. Now the people who write all these speaking books that say people fear speaking more than death, so you should do exactly what my book says and buy it. All throughout their book, they'll quote research, right? And the study, and the person who did that research. And they quote this like it's research, but they always neglect to actually point out where it came from because they know it's hogwash. Okay? But the worst thing is when people hear that kind of stuff, they see it somewhere, they start believing it's true, and it just makes it worse. People don't fear speaking worse than death. Do people get nervous? Sure they do. I think I put it on your sheet there. Mark Twain, he's the most prolific speaker in history, because even though he wrote, The Adventures of Huck Finn and all that, they did all the speaking back then. There wasn't any TVs. That's how people were entertained. He spoke like 2 or 3 times a day where giant groups would gather around. Right? And he traveled all around the country and several continents. And he said there's 2 types of speakers, those that are nervous and those that are liars. Okay? And this is a guy who spoke several times a day. So people get better and better at it. Okay? I would rather teach total strangers than like my own department. They were always the ones that made me nervous. Because of course they know you're nothing special. Right? Those are the ones that are hard to impress. So you got to remember, nobody really cares if you screw up. Nobody came in this class saying, boy, I hope that Neil guy really sucks and bores me to death and I want to poke my ears out like I did that last class. Nobody wants you to fail. It's just people get up here and they think that. Well, nobody wants a bad class. They're hoping for a good one for a change. Right? They're hoping for something that's a little faster. So give me a productive error over a boring, mundane, and unproductive fact any day, and I agree with that. And I don't even care if you screw up. Just screw up with some passion. Right? Speak about stuff you want to speak about. If you really hate the topic, just don't teach it. It's hard to get excited about anything.